Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I am Pastor Guy, and this is Pastor's Corner. For those of you who are new to the corner, I'm Guy Watley, and welcome to my corner of the internet. It's a place where we get together once a week to encourage the believer how to be in the world, but not of the world. If you like what you hear, follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Give us likes and thumbs up. Tell us, send links to your friends and family. And you can watch us Sunday morning live at 10:30 Pacific time. Lord willing, we've had a few snafus lately. Cameras not wanting to work, and then they do. I don't know. It's anyway. Yeah, welcome. We're glad you're here. So many of you might know that one of my relatives, an uncle, and actually a couple of his kids, have spent decades in Peru as missionaries. And when we were growing up, and when my uncle went down there, I'm sure that there was no doubt in his mind that it was him against the world down there. In other words, he's bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ, the true gospel. Peru has been I guess you might call it a Catholic country, mainstreamed, but they are not believers by any stretch of the imagination. Um, and and so he's down there bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth, planting churches, hundreds of churches over the decades. My cousin is there now. My cousin was born and raised in Peru. Spent more time in Peru, lived in Peru longer. He's lived in America, hands down. Um, and there's never any doubt that I guess they were walking as aliens um, as they lived in Peru. And my uncle always concerned. He would come home. We would talk politics. How are things going in America? You know, um, and that kind of thing. Just but the reality was you always knew things were not going to be good in Peru. Things were run by terrorist organizations like the Shining Path, where the the average Peruvian was just trying to live day to day, meal to meal, get through this day, and then tomorrow's another day, and stay out of the way of the terrorists, the politics, um, those who would seek to take advantage, and just living life hand to mouth, moment by moment. And that's the life of the average Peruvian, and it still is today. The Shining Path isn't as big as they once were, but they're still there. And because of natural gas and other resources that Peru has, there's been a semblance of civilization, I guess you might call it, that come in. Whether that's good or bad for the nation, that is open for another debate at another time. But it as I was thinking about that, and thinking about him, and he's in his 90s, he still goes to Peru to bring the good news. There's no doubt where his heart lies for the people of Peru. And um, as I was thinking about that, I look at America, a town, and I would argue that our nation, you know, the idea that we were once a Christian nation, I guess it's not something that I would ascribe to. I would ascribe to the reality that we were founded on a Judeo-Christian ethic and morality, and worldview, that there is a God. Um, were most of the founding fathers Christians? No. Were some? Yes. Uh, but they weren't uh, openly antagonistic against a holy God. They recognized that there was more than them, and we are now in a culture and a society that day by day, election by election, the people that roam the halls of Congress are becoming more and more antagonistic and opposed to a holy God, and are outspoken about it. With the rise of the democratic socialists that we see winning elections from big cities like New York and Seattle, and really we're just talking about communists and naive people. I mean, ignorant people who really, some of them that, not to pick on people, but there's a huge difference between the governor or the mayor of New York and the mayor of Seattle. They both call themselves democratic socialists, but one has a bigger goal in mind, and the other one is just ignorant and naive, and yeah, that's all I'll say about that. You can choose which one's which. That's open for another discussion some other time. But my point this morning is that we're living in a time where I feel day by day, the more we push forward, that I'm living in a space and time where I feel like my uncle probably did the decades in Peru, where you know what, my focus and my purpose in life is to make sure that the gospel is preached clearly, truthfully, without reservation, and no equivocation, and not backing down, and not submitting to the ruling class, the world out there, because it is overwhelming, and it is moving ever forward, to where the hill that I'm standing on is shrinking when it comes to truth. And I don't know if it's that we're just more aware of it because of technology and the information age and social media, and people are just more willing to say what they think, or what they believe, and what we see about what people believe does not line up with anything we see in Scripture, and we are moving farther and farther away from that. And again, I firmly believe, and I don't know how this is going to play out at all, but you see what's happening in Europe, Spain, at the Gibraltar, the Straits there. They've got a little enclave on the other side of the Gibraltar Strait, and a little city, a little town that's owned by Spain, and it's completely overrun by Muslims. It's not surprising. I don't know why it took this long, but it was. And the problem that Europe has is that's a gateway to Europe. Once you're in there and you get some sort of passport ID or whatever, you get on a boat and you're in Europe. And there's a problem, because the Muslim faith is demonic and it's a spiritual battle. And to deny that is to just stick your head in the sand. And the more and more Muslims get control and footholds in America, the more we will see Satan playing his hand and doing what he can to subvert and to corrupt and to lead people to the pit of hell, where he is going to spend eternity. That's a problem. Something that we haven't really faced in America. since its founding is, I mean, we came in with, the upper hand in the idea that we're going to spread the good news. Um, Now, was that everybody's mission? No. When people jumped on the Oregon Trail, were they all evangelists coming out here to the West to, um, proselytize the Indian? No. They were just looking for a better life and freedom to worship, to live how they wanted to. And I guess the more and more we see that, the more and more we understand that's gone, that we're not going to get that back. And I don't know what the next 22 years are going to look like, whether we as Christians end up living like my uncle and my cousins in Peru, where as a believer, if you're not spreading the gospel, then what are you doing? Because everything around you is contrary to that, is against it, and actually opposed to it. And of course, living in the state of Oregon, one of the most liberal states in America as far as the government is concerned, because of the seat of power of Portland and the mail-in balloting that is nefarious at least, and outright criminal, most likely, it does seem like all hope is lost if your hope is in the government and is in the Constitution and America. But if your hope is in Scripture, if your hope is in the Bible, we know who sits on the throne. We know who is ultimately in control. And we recognize that as we look around and go, what is happening? He's looking around going, my kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And while we can't see how that's going to play out and understand it, whether the Lord just decides to return and call an end like he did in the days of Noah, are we there yet? I don't know. I know we could go a lot further south before he comes. I know it can look bad. If I was living in Michigan right now, around Dearborn and places like that, it would look bad. It would look bad. If I was in Europe, living in Europe and Spain and England, where a city like London is just completely godless and overrun. The land of Spurgeon, it is phenomenal, but it just means we got our work cut out for us. And we're never going to run out of candidates to witness to bring to the Lord one by one, and pray for that day. I don't know, kind of a ramble this morning, just thinking about those things. But anyway, yeah, it's a good day. Election season. Mitch McConnell's still missing. I pray he's alive, and if he is, I pray that he's getting the care that he needs. But politics is a strange thing, and it is amazing that we, as much as we think we have control, we find out we don't really have much control at all. So anyway, I'm Pastor Guy, and this has been Pastor's Corner, and I will see you next week, Lord willing. And you have a wonderful day in the Lord, and rejoice, for this is the day that the Lord has made.